I was an alpha pregnant for a delicate. Episode 4. Something changed after that night in the kitchen. I don't know how to explain it exactly. Nothing was different on the surface. He still came in early, still left late, still placed things on my desk without being asked, still wore that face, soft, patient, perfectly arranged. But there was something underneath it now. A crack, small, almost invisible, like a window that had been painted shut for years and someone had quietly run a knife along the edge. Not open, but no longer completely sealed. I noticed. I didn't say anything. Neither did he. We moved around each other like two people who had agreed without words to pretend a thing hadn't happened. It was the most honest we had been with each other since he walked into my building. The pregnancy was becoming a problem. Not visibly. I was careful about that. I wore what I needed to wear. I arranged my schedule around the bad mornings. I kept Dr. Yoon on speed dial and answered his check-in calls in the parking garage where no one could hear me. But my body was changing in ways that were becoming harder to explain away as stress or overwork. I was tired in a way I had never been tired before. Not sleepy, just heavy, like I was carrying extra gravity. My sense of smell was now so heightened that I had quietly banned 3 specific colognes from the 32nd floor. I told HR it was an air quality initiative. They sent a very confused memo to all staff. And the food. The food was becoming a serious issue. I sent Taehyun out 4 times in 1 week for things that had no business being in a CEO's office. Tteokbokki at 9 in the morning. Mango. Cold noodles at 11 p.m. A specific brand of banana milk that was only sold at one convenience store 40 minutes away. Taehyun fulfilled every single request without a word. I was going to give that man a very significant raise. Miho noticed the changing body situation before I was ready for him to. We were in a meeting, just the two of us, going over the acquisitions deal which had finally started moving again. I had taken my jacket off because I was warm. I was always warm now, another delightful development, and Miho stopped mid-sentence. Looked at me. Jihan. Keep going. Jihan. The Henderson clause, Miho focus. Is that? He pointed vaguely at my midsection. I put my jacket back on. The Henderson clause, I said. Jihan, you can't just put your jacket back on and… Choi Miho, I will end you. I'm your best friend. The Henderson clause. He stared at me for a very long moment. Then he picked up his papers. The Henderson clause, he said, very carefully, limits our liability exposure to. Good, I said. Continue, he continued. But for the rest of that meeting, he kept glancing at me with an expression that was equal parts concern and absolute bewilderment. After he left, I sat alone and looked at my reflection in my dark laptop screen. This is fine, I told myself. It was not fine. I started working from home 2 days a week. I told my team it was a productivity initiative. Remote leadership strategy. I used several convincing corporate phrases. The real reason was that some mornings getting out of bed was a project in itself and I needed those hours. On one of those mornings, a Tuesday naturally, I was sitting at my home desk in a sweater that was less structured than anything I would wear to the office, hair not yet done, one hand wrapped around a cup of tea, trying to review documents. My phone rang. I answered without looking. CO Jihan. A pause. Sir. Juno's voice. I apologize for calling directly. There's a document you need to sign for the Lim account. It needs to be with legal by noon. Email it. I did, sir. 40 minutes ago. I looked at my email. There it was. I'll sign it now, I said. Thank you, sir. I was about to hang up. Juno. Sir. How are you? I said. A pause. Longer than it should have been for a simple question. I'm well, sir. Thank you. Are you? Another pause. The line was quiet for a moment. Just the sound of the office in the background on his end. Keyboards. Distant conversation. A normal Thursday morning for everyone else. Yes, he said, softer than before. I am. I looked out my window. Gray morning. Seoul going about its business. Good, I said. Sir, he started. I'll sign the document. I said. Tell legal it'll be there by 10. Yes, sir. I hung up, sat for a moment, signed the document, sent it, picked up my tea, stared out the window. Are you? I hadn't meant to say that. It had come out of somewhere I wasn't monitoring closely enough. I needed to monitor it more closely. General POV. Juno put his phone down very carefully on his desk. Around him the office hummed. Someone laughed across the room. Printer word. Normal sounds. Normal morning. He sat very still. How are you? Are you? He had prepared for many things. He had spent 12 years preparing for many things. He had scripts for every version of CEO Jihan he had studied, the cold CEO, the controlled alpha, the man who looked through people rather than at them. He did not have a script for this version. This version that made tea in empty kitchens and called him by his name without the sir and asked questions that sounded simple but landed somewhere complicated. He picked up his pen, put it down, picked it up again. Across the city in a home office, CEO Jihan was sitting in a sweater drinking tea, and Juno knew this because he knew Jihan's rhythms better than Jihan knew them himself, and that knowledge felt different this morning than it had yesterday. Felt like something he hadn't earned. That was new. That thought had never occurred to him before. He sat with it for a moment. Then he put it away, opened the next document on his desk. Got back to work. Back to Jihan. I came back to the office on a Friday. Walked off the elevator. Straightened my jacket. CEO again. Composed. In control. Juno was at his desk. He looked up when I came in. We looked at each other across the office floor. Something passed between us. Wordless. Brief. I walked to my office. He went back to his work. Miho appeared in my doorway 11 minutes later eating a pastry. You're back. I work here. You look. He studied me. Different. I look exactly the same. You look like someone who has been thinking too much. I'm a CEO. I'm paid to think. Not like that. He bit his pastry. You look like someone who has been thinking about a specific thing. Or a specific. Miho. Person. Get out of my office. I'm just saying. The door, Miho. He left. Slowly. With the energy of someone who had made his point and was satisfied with it. I turned to my laptop. Opened my emails. The first unread message at the top of my inbox was from Park Juno. Sent at 6:58 this morning. Before anyone else had arrived. Project update. Thorough. Organized. Every detail I would need covered before I'd thought to ask for it. At the bottom, below the professional close, a single extra line. The ginger tea in your desk drawer has been restocked. The plain crackers too. Have a good day, sir. I looked at that line for a long time. Then I looked through my glass wall at his desk. He was working. Head slightly down. Pen moving. He didn't look up. I closed the email. Opened the desk drawer. Ginger tea. Plain crackers. Exactly where they always were. I closed the drawer. Sat back. Have a good day, sir. I thought about 12 years. About patience. About a boy in a school hallway who had decided something and then waited. Quietly, completely, until the moment was right. I thought about what it cost to want something that long. I thought about the thing growing in me that I still hadn't fully named. Not just the pregnancy. The other thing. The thing that had been growing alongside it. The thing I kept putting away and finding again every time he looked at me with those eyes or made tea in an empty kitchen or left crackers in my drawer like it was nothing. Like it was just something people did. I was a logical man. And the logical conclusion was terrifying. It was a Wednesday when things cracked open. I was coming back from a meeting on the floor below. The elevator opened on 28 instead of 32. I had pressed the wrong button, which was the kind of thing that had started happening since my focus had developed a new and unwelcome habit of drifting. I stepped out, went to press the button again, and heard voices from the small meeting room near the elevator. Door not fully closed. Not loud, but I heard my name. I stopped. Don't think he knows yet. Not everything. Juno's voice. Low. Juno, you can't keep. A woman's voice. Unfamiliar. On speaker. This has gone further than you planned, and you know it. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm standing it sounds like you're Sujin. Falling. Silence. A long silence. I know what I'm doing, Juno said, but quieter than before, less certain. You've been saying that for 12 years, Sujin said, gently, and I've believed you every time. But Juno, does he know about the baby? I stopped breathing. No, Juno said. When are you going to tell him? When it's right. And when is? When he's ready, Juno said. When I'm sure he won't. He stopped. Won't what? A pause. Run, Juno said, very quietly. When I'm sure he won't run. I stood in that hallway, not moving, not breathing. When I'm sure he won't run. I thought about a school photograph. A boy against a wall watching someone walk past for 3 years without being seen. A draft message saved for 2 years and never sent. Ginger tea and plain crackers and a sandwich that was exactly right and water on a nightstand and, I've got you. 12 years. He had carried this for 12 years. And he was scared. Park Juno, who had walked into my building and rearranged my entire life with the patience and precision of someone who had never once doubted what they were doing, was scared that I would run. I looked down at my own hand, pressed the elevator button. The doors opened. I stepped in, rode up to 32 in silence, walked into my office, closed the door, stood in the middle of the room for a long time. Then I sat down. And for the first time since this began, since a Tuesday in a lobby and a school photograph and a word I looked up alone at night, I stopped running from the conclusion. I let it land. All of it. And it was not what I expected. It wasn't frightening. It was just true. General POV final scene. Juno ended the call with Sujin. Sat alone in the small meeting room. The door was slightly open. He hadn't noticed until now. He looked at it. Thought about the elevator. The sound of the button being pressed. The timing. He closed his eyes. He heard me. He didn't know how much. He didn't know which parts. But he knew, the way he always knew things deeper and wider than most, that Seo Jihan had been standing in that hallway. He opened his eyes, looked at his hands. 12 years of careful planning, and in one unguarded moment with a door left open, he had shown his hand. He stood up, smoothed his jacket, walked out of the meeting room, back to his desk, sat down, looked at his screen. Through the glass wall and up through the floor above, he could not see Jihan's office, but he knew the direction of it the way he knew his own heartbeat. He heard me. He picked up his pen, put it down, picked it up. When I'm sure he won't run. He had said that out loud. In a building where Seo Jihan worked. He pressed his hand flat against his desk, steadying himself the way he rarely needed to. Okay, he thought. Okay, the game had changed again. Only this time, he wasn't the one who changed it.